Yeah, everyone's, oh, Jordies, you look tired, you look old, etc., etc. I just got up. I don't know why I'm doing this immediately. It's just very concerning. I don't. I just woke up thinking about this because it is something that I'm grappling with, and that is you whippersnappers. You know who you are, and you would know that by your birth certificate. But Gen Z, oh, this stubborn hair. Gen Z, or Z as the cool kids would prefer to name themselves, wouldn't you? Because you've got your TikToks, and despite it being owned by China, you're getting a bunch of American trends off of it. Geez, we really do live in a globalized world, don't we? Isn't that something? You should ponder that in your own time. We didn't have access to that as kids. And that is what I want to bring up today. I know that you are always saying that my generation is obsessed with nostalgia. I think it is just something that happens when you have some life experience. You start to notice that some times were better than other times. And I'll tell you what was a great time. 2001. That was sick. Exactly when you were born. That was awesome. What disturbs me about you folk, and take this with a grain of salt, I could be completely wrong about this. This is all just observations from people that I talk to after shows and when people come up to me on the streets, etc. I think you guys are fucked. I didn't used to think that. I honestly thought that Gen Z was going to be the saviour generation. Things were looking very good for you lot. And it was purely because of the internet, and you are the first generation that are the first step towards becoming a cyborg, and in a way, kind of the demise of humanity, because a couple of generations after that, we'll get to RoboCop, and a few generations more than that, we'll get to Ghost in a Shell. But celebrate that landmark, I suppose, of human beings evolving out of their fleshy cells. For a while, when I would speak to, say, 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, it was quite disturbing. It really was. Because you would know things that I didn't even learn in university, and it would just be accepted truth. And it seemed like, and obviously I've got a skewed audience because they're going to be people that are interested in the world, but the average 16-year-old seems so much more attuned to the world, so much more worldly, so much more like that wizard in the tree in Game of Thrones that I'm constantly referencing because I just really like the idea of an old man sitting there for 1,000 years being like, my nose is itchy. But that passed, and I swear to God it was the invention of TikTok. There was a real definite shift with you folk. Before that, you kind of just had the knowledge of having Wikipedia available at your fingertips and growing up with it, knowing that you're just supposed to Google that stuff. There was also this assumed strangeness that you didn't understand of us coming from the world of horse carts drawn by Clydesdales, and the closest thing we had to technology was like, oh, the boys from Cheese TV, they kept us abreast with biker mice from Mars, they did. So we just didn't have the same adaptations that you guys had, and so it just became that natural to you. There was also a loss of innocence, and clearly you guys didn't have any form of a childhood whatsoever, not that I can talk because I came up with the generation of PlayStations, but yours was next level. And I think that every generation after you is going to be next level. What disturbs me about your generation, as a general observation, is that I think that all of you have mutually assured destruction, and I think you all know that. I think you all know, I think that you are all hyper aware that your life can be destroyed with the press of a button. That somebody that you know that is dirty with you can just air some DMs and you're done. You've seen it happen over and over. Most of TikTok is about outing someone, you know? It's all about digital witch hunts. Your entire generation is involved in a digital witch hunt. I think that that's what's happening here, because there used to just be the worldliness, but now there's this extreme nervousness that I honestly don't remember ever having. There is a level of self-consciousness that comes with being fairly young, you know, in your teens to your early 20s. And then when you get into your mid-20s, that starts to pan out a bit. That's natural. I don't think that this is that. I think that when you guys are 25, you are still going to be sitting there being like, wedge, for whatever it is in your social circle. That, I am telling you, with every fibre of my being, I believe, despite having nothing to back it up. It's very disturbing. Because you can see that everybody in your generation, two things that has also happened. I think that also the invention of TikTok, when it came to YouTube, yes, there's a lot of beliefs that are quickly pushed out because of the internet that are founded in nothing, and everybody believes them, or they have some very surface level understanding of a situation, and that situation is a lot more complicated than that, right? And there's that, but at least you have like a general understanding of it, so I'll forgive those little blemishes. I think also with TikTok, it did make your generation dumber. Something that really disturbed me the other day was I was talking to a few people that were from Gen Z, and they used to read books. I know that they used to read books. They used to read books because their YouTubers would recommend you should read this book. Or at least they get the summary of it, so they had the general gist of it somewhere on YouTube. You know, they're good with that thing. But that moved away. I hadn't seen them in a few years. Their new motto was, I don't read books. And I said, why? And they said, TikTok takes up all my time. So instead of getting a deeper understanding of the world, which is where your generation was going, now you are getting an extremely hyper-sized, because it's just a 15 second, that's what you're getting. At the best of times. The worst of, and also on top of that, it's just 15 seconds of, oh, this person said this, and then, you know, like, so everything that you are getting reinforced with is just, everything has to be awesome, and it has to be awesome for like this tiny little spurt, and on top of that, if it doesn't happen in this tiny little spurt, then it's not worth knowing about. Nothing, going deeper just doesn't really exist with your generation anymore. And again, I know that I'm just sitting there being like, is the problem with you? Yeah, I get it. But I think that you also know that this is true to some level. I also think that it really erodes your guys' friendships. Because I think that you all know that you're all sitting there with a nuke button being like, I'll do it, I'll fucking press it. That's horrifying. How can you have a legitimate friendship with anyone? I think that also everybody is in a relationship thinking like, oh, I better be acting this way, otherwise I'm going to get outed for sexual harassment, or I'm going to get outed for being like toxic or some shit like that, right? Like everyone is always just thinking about that. So it's just become extremely creepily image conscious, and I've never seen this before. When you are young, you're supposed to just be sitting there dropping the F-bomb and the N-bomb, and like, you know, you say shocking things because you're a kid and it's just funny to say, right? But now you just see constantly like anything at all, any swearing, even the word bitch. I said the word bitch the other day, and then everyone was looking around because I was just hanging around a bunch of 16-year-olds, and they were just looking around like this, being like, what? You know? Don't tell me that it's like, no, we're getting better. You're not getting better. What is happening is you're just scared of saying anything. That is what's happening there. You're scared of saying anything, so you don't say anything. And so everybody's trying to... It's this weird little strange generation-wide confirmation where everybody tries to get the same hair as Timothy Chalamet and just kind of look chill and disassociated the whole time, but you can see the fear in your eyes the whole time, so it's not there. Timothy Chalamet, if he was in the Soviet Union, that's your generation. You guys suck. But what I'm saying is, you could have been great. You're all bums now. I do think that, you know, there was the greatness of the fact that you guys, in summary, it was great that you had that you had this understanding of the world that was incomparable to anything that our generation had. Even something like this, for instance. This channel, for the most part, unless I'm just whining about other generations that I don't understand, this channel is really the result of me spending the better half of a decade, sorry, not even the better half of a decade, the better part of a decade, sitting around in a library like some little pedophile monk, reading countless self-help books. And then you just get to pick it. What else you got? It's incredible that you have access to that and you grew up in it to the point that you just don't even understand the tool that you have. That's cool. The downside of it is that you have this festering, strange, I wouldn't say that it's narcissism, but it's getting close to it. It's extreme self-consciousness. And I don't know what to do about it. I know this is supposed to be a self-help channel, but this is just whining at this point. I don't know what you can do about it. First of all, you're in that world. All of your friends are like that. I'm constantly telling you to get off your bloody TikToks and your Instagrams, but I don't think that you will. And I think it's first of all, it's probably done irreparable damage to your brain that you just need to detox on for years to even get out of that situation. But this weird little thing of just average people that work at a corner store thinking, am I going to get cancelled? God, what a horrible, self-imposed surveillance state you have all created for yourselves. I'm an internet celebrity. I understand what it's like to be cancelled. It's happened a million times to me because, I talk about controversial stuff. Just naturally, politics by its very nature, half of the population is going to despise you just for showing up your face. I'm a little bit more used to it than the average person, but I will say this, I think that the only way out of it is, like with everything else in life, you have to get a higher purpose and get out of that mode of, am I going to get cancelled? Because, first of all, it's completely debilitating. If you do anything in life anyway, it's just going to be robbed of any joy whatsoever because you are constantly thinking, am I going to be judged? And I will tell you what will corrode happiness quicker than anything else is the thought that other people are judging you. It's not that I'm immune to these things. And obviously, being on the internet as a personality, I have exposed myself to a lot more than the average person. And I think that the solution is to just become a cave hermit like I've become. But I honestly don't know. I don't know what the solution is to it. But just like in AA, you have to admit you have a problem. Admit it, man. It's the first step. Anyway, if you want something that will actually improve your life instead of making you feel bad about it, I do have that, but it's behind a paywall. You're going to have to sign up to Jordan Shanks. You know what? Other people have come out of the woodwork after I just shared the story of the person that got $3 million in turnover just from writing down the information that was on this channel. You paying attention? You saying that no, this stuff actually works. If you apply it, you will become a millionaire very quickly over the span of 3 years. Fucking bastard. Anyway, you could do it. It costs you less than a coffee to become a millionaire. Is that a deal or what? I know that I'm not supposed to be saying that. I know that I can't actually promise that. But having said all of that, I'm promising it. I'm promising it. If you put down the principles and you apply them, don't tell me that the results in the area of your life, be it relationships, be it your career, be it, I don't know, jumping jacks. You want to become a jumping jack athlete? Is that a thing? I hope to God it isn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is, given how many niches there are these days. Sign up. Do yourself that favor, and I'll be back another time to make you feel bad about yourself over generalizations that you can't help. Oh, that's the worst thing about being Gen Z, because they think that's bad. Triggered, Troy boys?